Now, one of the things that's very important when checking a tree, this has a nice root ball to it, is you want to get to the edge of the root ball to where you can get down into it. Just checking the top, it can sometimes be a good indicator. You can kind of feel if it is hard or if it's soft, but really it's important to get down almost halfway, if you can, into the root ball. So a simple thing you can do is, this is just a metal spike. You can use a screwdriver where you can actually come into the side of the root ball and push into it and pull it out and feel if there's any kind of moisture in the root ball itself. This one is rather dry. The way I can tell that is I can push this into the soil around the root ball, pull it out, and I can feel that the soil around it is quite moist. Now, this is a freshly planted landscape. All the soil here has been modified with a topsoil compost mix. So the soil itself around this root ball is going to naturally hold more moisture because it's more porous. Typically, a lot of root balls on newly planted trees are going to have a higher clay content, so they're going to be more susceptible to drying out. In many cases, this new good soil that we're providing for the landscape, it's great for a growing medium, but it's going to take about anywhere between 6 and 12 months for that tree to start to root into that soil, where it is then beneficial to it. Those first few months, it could actually be detrimental and be a sponge that leaches water away from the soil. That is something that is not commonly known, so that's why it's so important to check the root ball itself on the tree and not just the soil around it. So what we're going to do is, this tree here, I can grab some of the soil around it, and a quick way to see just if it is dry, well, we can actually see here that it is pretty dry, but I should be able to, here's some of the soil around it, I should be able to take that and roll it into a ball, and as soon as it makes a ball, it begins to crumble. That's perfect. That is the exact amount of moisture that you want to have in most root balls. But in this case, again, I can get in here and I can feel that this root ball here is dry. So what we're going to do is show you how to set up a hose on this tree and get it to be watered properly in a slow soaking trickle. So when you want to set a hose on a tree on a slow trickle, depending on the water pressure of your home, it could just take a few minutes to really get a feel for how much water pressure is in the hose to get it set to that. So what I always do is put it on full blast and make sure that all the air comes out of the hose. And typically what that looks like is you'll get this spurting at the first few seconds of the hose running before it becomes a steady stream. And then what I do is I turn it all the way off. I set the hose at the tree, at the base of the tree, at the trunk of the tree, and then I just ever so slightly crack it to get a slow trickle to come out of the hose. So what we've got here, we've got our slow trickle. You definitely don't want it in any faster than this. And on a tree that's dry, so if you come across a tree that's literally, it's hard as a rock, you can't even get any soil out of the root ball, you'll need to do this for anywhere between 8 and 24 hours. Seems like a long time. One thing to remember though is you cannot overwater in any single watering. It's the frequency of watering in which you get into trouble with overwatering. If it's every single day for several hours, well, yes, you're going to be overwatering your plants, and that's very important to be checking the soil so you understand what your soil is actually going to require. It seems like a lot of work, but once you get the hang of it, it goes pretty quick. It's pretty easy to figure out, pretty easy to find your balance. And if you have any questions, you can always reach us, help@Frisella Nursery, or call us 636-798-2555.